Welcome. Thank you all for coming. My name is Ginny Orzel, and I was the advisor for Arthur Brooks, who he's done 2 documentaries with me. And this documentary that he completed, he shot and edited fall or summer of 2014, and then in the fall he went away to Disney on an internship. And so he found he has a lot of passion for important topics, and one of them is about fatherlessness that is happening right here in Rochester, New York, and what that impact has on a young man who doesn't have a father in his life. And so this film, I want Arthur to talk about it because he's very passionate about it. This film is 12 minutes long, and it's about his journey through finding a man who was able to speak about what it's like not having a father in his life. So Arthur.
Very true. This film took about 2 months. I was able to ask Jimmy for help throughout the whole process. Personally, I do have a father who is in my life and always has been. He's been active in taking me to my sporting events as a high schooler, for all my award ceremonies. My parents are divorced, but my parents had joint custody. So luckily I had 2 positive influence in my life. So I had to go to someone else who did not have that. As you'll see in the film, the main subject, Arthur Sheffield, he grew up without his father because his father just was absent. His mom claimed that she did not know who he was, but in the end, not having a father really affected Arbery, and it caused him to make some bad choices. So before I play the film, I'd like to say my thank yous. First off, I'd like to thank Jenny Orzel for her excellence and for her passion in helping me and other students on the campus. I'm graduating in May, and over the last 4 years, Jenny has been my go-to person, and whenever I make mistakes, she's always there to kick me in the rear, but then also to make me happy and point me in the right direction. Also, Jim Maurice, who is the technician for the television club or program here on campus. I can always call him for advice and for requests. Hey Jim, I need this thing by the end of the day. I know you're busy, but I need it now. Jim is always there. And I also like to thank Alex, who also helps with handing out equipment to the students, because over the summer, I was the only person, I believe, doing this project. And last summer as well, I was always at the campus bothering them, asking for equipment. So, last but not least, I also like to thank my father, Arthur Brooks III, who is on his way to the presentation, and I hope he can make it. My father really has made me the man that I am today, and I thank him for that. By making this film, I realized that if I did not have my father in my life, it would have been totally different. So now, just play the film.
The African American community suffers from absent, imprisoned, and jobless fathers. 78% of the nation's current prison and jail population comes from fatherless households. This trend of absent fathers is on course to continue for more generations. Fatherlessness is not the root cause to socioeconomic hardships. It is a symptom to the poverty that afflicts poor urban cities across the country. There needs to be a major change in the public perception on fatherhood and fatherlessness. African Americans account for only 13% of the country's population, yet black males make up 40% of the American prison population. The African American community is crippled. The Pew Center of Research reports that 1 in 9 black men between the ages of 20 and 34 is in prison. These potential fathers are expected to remain or return to jail often as their children grow up. Therefore, the children will not have the bond or supervision necessary for them to reach academic and social standards. Black children are 7.5 times more likely than white children to have a parent in prison. Children that grow apart from their fathers are twice as likely to drop out of school.
Just to know who my father was would have been a great thing. There's always that mystery that that I deal with, not knowing, and it leaves an empty spot in my heart, because there's a whole side of me that I just don't know.
The Rochester City School District has the lowest graduation rate in New York State. In addition, the 2012 Scott 50 State Report on Public Education in Black Males found that the Rochester City School District has the lowest graduation rate for black students in the country. Astonishingly, Only 9% of the black student population graduates high school within 4 years. For these students, making it into college from Rochester is as likely as hitting the lottery.
I think things would have been different if I knew who my father was, just to make things easier on my life growing up. Someone that I can talk to, someone I can confide in, someone I can talk man things with. You know, my mom was great and she did a lot for me, but there were some things that I couldn't talk to her about or even felt comfortable talking to her about.
According to a Rochester area community special report, Rochester is the 5th poorest city out of the top 75 largest American cities, with Detroit being number 1. Rochester also ranked 14th in the nation in childhood poverty with the rate of 51%. In these impoverished circumstances, teenagers can be influenced to make poor choices.
Back in 1992, I made a bad choice. I was graduated from high school maybe a few months before then, and decided to engage in some criminal activity. Basically, I robbed somebody, and I paid the price. I wound up spending 3 months in jail. It was definitely culture shock for me. You know, just having my freedom taken away from me was something that I wasn't used to. So basically, I had to change my whole life from there. Jail is someplace that I knew that I never wanted to be again. It was almost a blessing that I got caught robbing the first time, robbing somebody or getting in trouble the first time. I probably would have continued on.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Track and field definitely saved me, because at that time, after getting caught and I, did my sentence, I came out, more into those things because I knew that, my career was over. So I wanted to give my knowledge to youth.
Unfortunately, Rochester has been crowned the murder capital of New York State. Last year, Rochester's murder rate was over 3 times that of New York City. These can be hard circumstances to deal with. Aubrey is able to sympathize with youth because he dealt with the same conditions.
Totally, it's over 20 years now that I've been coaching totally.
Aubrey attempted to find his father on an internet search about 10 years ago. Online, he found the man he believed was his father. A DNA test unfortunately proved he wasn't Aubrey's father. Aubrey would like to continue the search for his father, but believes that time is running out.
Every stage of my life, I miss my father, not knowing who he is. There's a big void in my life. I only know half of me. I feel like, if you looked at a picture of me, you can just see half of me and the other half is just shaded black totally. Because that's the way I feel. I feel as if there's something that I don't know about me, and that is obviously through not knowing who my father is. My role as a coach, mentor, and community member does to a certain extent fill that void of not having a father. Like I said, I'm okay if I never see him or if I never meet him, but I am filling some voids by reaching out and helping others that in the same position.
Aubrey has shared his story by writing a memoir. This process has been helpful to him because he has been able to express his deep feelings about his missing father that he has harbored for all his life.
Writing a book was extremely therapeutic for me. I never knew that it would be. When I started writing it, I don't know what made me do it. I just started doing it. And the more I wrote, the more therapeutic it became, because I have never told my story to anyone in detail such as this. So just writing the book really, really helped me in so many ways. My kids helped me get through this more than anything. Being called dad is the greatest thing in the world to me. Not having a father should not define anyone, and it doesn't define me. It did not stop me. It helped me and encouraged me to become more of a father figure and a father kind to those that I know. I think being without a father should be in a conversation that we all should have had for years, and it shouldn't be something that's just, pushed under the rug. As a kid, I can tell you that, yes, there were times where it was tough and probably should have had someone to talk to me about it.
So why is there limited public conversation about the issues of fatherlessness, an issue that affects every race? Perhaps because the symbol of fatherlessness is associated with the deprived condition of the Black community. A major stereotype of Black fathers is that they are inactive parents, or what some may call deadbeat dads. This stereotype derives from the common struggle African American men face to re-enter the mainstream economy and society after imprisonment or unemployment. During this era of mass incarceration, according to the Pew Research Center, 1 in every 15 Black men are incarcerated, compared to 1 of every 36 Latino men and 1 of every 106 white men. The stereotype of mediocre Black fathers is completely false. Research from Boston College found that Black fathers not living at home are more likely to keep in contact than fathers of any other racial group. Black fathers do value family relationships just as much as any other loving father would.
Good job, son. You might get in.
In a city like Rochester, becoming a successful athlete serves as a promising way to find stability in one's life, or even a way to go to college. The Edison Tech High School track team has been a training ground for athletic and scholastic achievement. The team dominated the Rochester City Athletic Conference Championships, or RCAC for short.
In our dynasty years from 2000 to 2014, we won 14 RCAC championships.
On top of those city titles, the team won 15 regional titles and multiple national awards. In 2012, Taquan Garfield won All-American honors in the freshman 60-meter dash. Kayshawn Cathy became a national champion in the 2013 triple jump.
Edison has been extremely successful on the national stage. To be recognized as an All-American, you have to finish within the top 6 in the nation, not just in New York State, and we've done that on quite a few occasions. We've also ran at the Penn Relays, which is a very prestigious event. Some of the best ever have ran there, from Jesse Owens to Michael Johnson. You know, it's just, and the list goes on and on. Usain Bolt we saw a few years. So some of the best ever have run there. And for us to be able to compete in their presence and be there while some of the younger athletes are there as young ones and coming up, it's the greatest thing ever. Jordan, go get it, go get it. Come on, Lana. Come on, get up there.
Aubrey believes there will never be an empire like the Edison Tech track dynasty because of the major changes to the school district, such as redistricting and multiple charter schools opening in the district. Most importantly, during Edison's golden years, students not only excelled on the track, but also in the classroom.
A few years ago, and I stopped counting, we were up to well over 100 that have gone on to, achieve scholarships. And that's just scholarships alone. And that doesn't include the kids that we actually helped get into schools, other schools where they didn't compete still. Oh, we definitely handled, helped them with the college applications and their essays to get in. But we stayed on top of them during, for their homework, just making sure they completed all their work. We worked pretty close with the teachers.
Aubrey Sheffield serves as a role model to hundreds of children in the city. Some revere him as a father figure, affectionately calling him Dad or Pops.
You become their father, their uncle, their big brother, grandfather, so to speak. Some of them like to say we're old, but it's you become a family. And when you become a family, you stay on top of your family to do the right thing. And it just was easy. It just came natural.
Children with fathers are more likely to graduate from high school, thrive in their chosen career, and avoid being in violent situations as teens. Neighbors, pastors, relatives, and teachers all play a role in the development of children, especially fatherless children that need extra support to avoid negative peer pressure and exposure to crime.
You're 11 years old now. Time is going by fast. I can remember when you were a baby, and before I know it, you'll be going off to college. And I want you to remember these times when, me and you times. So you always know that you can always come to Dad for anything.
A solution to the generational curse of fatherlessness, especially in urban communities, is through gaining social capital. Sociologist James Coleman calls social capital collective civic engagement, community building, and the allocation of resources for the good of society. In short, it still takes a village to raise a child.
I made it out because I had a strong family base. Growing up, even though my mom was a single parent, she still stayed on us to do the right things. She made sure, whether we had a lot to eat or not, she still made sure we ate. She made sure we weren't hanging out too late in the streets. My grandparents, who lived 2 houses down from me, helped oversee that and helped make sure that, we were making sure that we were, doing the right thing. And back then, compared to now, a whole community, a whole street raised the kids. Now, no one wants any part of that.
Well, thanks everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the film. Before we start a question and answer session, I'd like to just say thank you to my girlfriend who voiced this documentary for me, not because she's my girlfriend, but because she has an excellent voice, Chanel Martin. She did a great job. I also like to thank my family. They came back and filmed it. And my mother, Sabrina Brooks. My father, Arthur Brooks III. My twin sister, Ashley Brooks. And my nephew, Stacy Long. So, does anyone have any questions for me? No questions at all? A few things I'd like to point out is that all of this film was produced, 90% of this film was produced within a 12-block radius of my home in the city of Rochester. The only footage that was not taken in that area was the footage of the jail cells. I traveled to New Orleans County to get that footage. And what that speaks to is the concentrated poverty in the city of Rochester. My first documentary concentrated on an area in Rochester called Jefferson Avenue, which is really poor. The footage that I got from this film was from that area too. You saw people with their pants down. You saw people out on the street. And we criminalize these people for being without. We should be helping these people because they're without jobs. So while making this documentary, I realized how poor Rochester really was. You heard the statistics. We have upgraded from the 5th poorest city in the country to the 3rd poorest city in the country. And that is an issue. No one deserves to be poor, right? So I just want to encourage everyone to evaluate what are your aspirations for a better tomorrow. Do you actually invest into the youth? Because the youth, they will actually generate prosperity for us. I believe the youth are the brightest and the best. So there are no questions, right? Okay. I was thrown off by no questions. Like, wow, I didn't prepare for no questions. So we'll answer this question.
Other than finding out about the level of poverty in the city of Rochester, what other facts did you uncover during the making of this that were the most shocking to you or surprising to you?
Besides poverty, what was shocking? How significant a community can be to one's development. I'm from the city of Rochester. I've had mentors. I've had track coaches. I've had football coaches. I've had friends. I have my high school mentor that I still talk to weekly, and he's helping me the rest of my life. I'm just like, hey, Mr. Scott, I want to pursue my PhD, but I'm afraid. What do I do? Because of those resources that I have, I'm able to be successful. So I didn't find any stats on how mentorship affects a person, but vicariously, by making this film, I was able to witness that for myself. And I've gone through my community and thanked all those people for helping me. Any other questions?
Nope.
Mary?
Oh, thanks, Arthur. Well, I was wondering, can you describe a little bit about the process of filming on the street? Because, yeah, you got really great footage and showed an awful lot of how life really is. And I was curious if you can tell us if people reacted and wondered what you were doing, or if you were able to just kind of do that discreetly because everyone was so busy with their day-to-day.
Because I'm from the area, I feel very confident and safe. One time I was out filming in a bad neighborhood, and my brother and his friends, they came up to me and said, "Hey bro, what are you doing? Be careful, you have all this equipment's expensive. Be careful." And I had to let them know that I'm not afraid. If you want to know what I'm doing, they can ask me, as they usually do. "Hey, what's this for? What are you shooting?" When I was in the areas that are labeled drug infested or crime areas, people really came up to me. People that were sort of threatening came up to me and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop filming." I've had people put their hand in front of the camera. But it's just confidence, and I just have a passion that Jenny talked about earlier. I have a passion for telling the truth. The footage you saw of the guys with their pants low, I got right up on them. I had asked for their permission. And they would not allow me to shoot the footage unless someone was over my shoulder watching what I was filming. They did not want me to film their faces or anything. This is my second film, so I know how to deal with negative feedback or negative comments from people. While making my first film, I've had people try to say, "What are you doing? You're stupid." I've been called names, surprisingly, and it's just like, I'm doing this to help you. I want to tell the story of what people call the ghetto or the hood, and I want to bring that to other populations like you all here, so we can have this discourse. So those are some of the experiences that I had.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was just curious. You said this is your second film, and you probably have more. You probably have a lot of ideas for what else you could do. Where are you hoping to take these films beyond showing them in forums like this? I was just curious what your ambitions are.
Wow, that's a great answer. And this summer I plan on doing some research for the McNair program, which is a program for undergraduate students to do research in the field they're interested in. I will be using this film and last film and other videos that I've done to make a model video. Basically, my aspirations are to do it not-for-profit at this point. And I want to teach inner city youth how to use equipment, and I want to do it in the framework of traditional news. A lot of programs are available for students to make documentaries, but I think that we should make a model where students have, they can get in front of a camera and be taken seriously. They can wear a shirt and tie and be taken seriously. So when that organization is up and running, I will use this documentary and other documentaries to kind of progress that. You get what I'm saying? Over time, I'm going to incorporate what I've done over my last 4 years to give a model for my future not-for-profit.
That's great. That's great. We should. That's great.
Thank you. Are there any more questions?
So I'm just curious, you might have explained it while I was setting up, but so how did you find or meet Aubrey?
Aubrey Sheffield is a mentor of mine. I ran track and field throughout high school. I ran for SUNY Tech. I graduated in 2011, so for 4 years I knew Aubrey Sheffield. He was my coach. He told me how to be better in athletics and in life. And by having adult conversations with him, heart-to-heart conversations, I found out that he didn't know his father. And Aubrey and my father, they built a relationship just by my father dropping me off for sporting events. And I was able to witness that. I was able to see successful men talk with each other. And I just wanted to be like Aubrey. Aubrey wore suits to school. He was smart. He went to Brockport. Aubrey actually is the reason why I'm here at Brockport, because I was very unsure of my talents and didn't think that I could go to college. Not only have I gone to college, I've done well in college. So because of Aubrey, I'm here today. That's it.
Looks like you did a lot of research, obviously, and one of the questions that I was curious is when you were doing your research, did you find that the discriminatory practices of the quote-unquote war on drugs had any bearing on the fatherlessness?
Yes, I did. I'm going to pull out some more information about the war on drugs. We said the war on drugs.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the war on poverty, but they do connect. The war on drugs has, in short, wiped off all the fathers and potentially positive role models for people. These people between the ages of 30 and up are in jail. So those fathers, uncles, cousins, grandfathers. So young folks like myself they don't have those resources available to them. They can't go to their track coach. They can't go to their father because unfortunately he's locked up. So your question was, repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
What do you think that the war on drugs and the discriminatory practices of the war on drugs has done for the fatherlessness in the city?
Okay.
And especially things like mandatory sentences and whatnot.
I think issues dealing with the war on drugs are directly correlated with this era of mass incarceration, which I believe African Americans are disproportionately locked up. 90% of jail inmates in some cities like Chicago are African American, and that's because they're being arrested for petty crimes like drug possession. They're getting minimum sentences for nonviolent crimes, and there's disparities in the actual charges and felonies against these people. After the folks get out of prison, then they're criminalized for the rest of their lives because they have felonies. And that just entrenches the poverty. That just makes it worse for them and their families. They don't have the ability to get a job, keep a job, and stay off the streets. So they go back to drugs, they go back to the streets, and then they end up in jail again. So I just think it's a generational curse. I think the war on poverty is just a cycle of disproportionate discrimination. Any other questions? Alex.
Hey, I was wondering how long did it take you from getting the idea what you want to shoot and how do you want to present it to go and shoot it and post-edit it and like produce it and get it all together? How long did it take?
It took 3 months.
That's good.
I got the equipment in June, the first week of June, and I returned the equipment right before school started. I got all the footage. The hardest part for me was the script writing. I see I need more help with that. Yeah, about 3 months.
That's a great time.
It could be much shorter. It could be much shorter, but I took my time with the documentary because I wanted it to be good. And I did a lot of research. I spent like 3 weeks to a month on looking up research from the Pew Center research and from Bureau statistics on populations and imprisonment rates for blacks.
Did you edit on Adobe?
Yeah, I use Adobe Premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, Adobe Premiere is easy. I've been on the program for 4 years. I at first tried to use Avid just because I took courses on the program, but it turned out to be too hard. Too hard to add audio and video and to blend all the effects that I wanted to do.
I see. Thank you.
Yes, Stacy. You have a question?
How do you play that game?
Yeah, I'll play the game. Yeah, we'll play the game later. So, we all know that in 1964, the war on poverty was declared. Raise your hand if you think that the war on poverty has been won. So you think there's still extreme poverty, right? My film pretty much shown that. So the statistics of poverty nationwide has gone down. So a lot of people ignore it and they don't care. They say we're doing great. Unemployment is down. We have more jobs than ever. But those jobs aren't available to certain populations, like black and brown people. So in 1964, the national poverty rate was 19%, and right now it's 11.2. We have to draw connections between the issues of Rochester and the issues of the race riots of the 1960s. We had right here in Rochester in 1964. The same year the war on poverty was declared. So, why was the war declared? We have to evaluate the policies that are present now, and we have to try to end our stereotypes. Like, part of the reason why I wanted to make this film was to argue against the stereotype that blacks are unfit fathers and blacks don't raise their children properly. While being on this college for the last 4 years, I've always had this argument with my peers about how Rochester is ghetto and Rochester is unsafe. But that's where I'm from. I'm very proud of where I'm from. And I'm in the same college you are, and I'm just as talented as you are. So it's not my people, it's not where I'm from that is the issue. So I just want to implore all of you to investigate potential biases that you have. So, if the war is not won, what can we do to win the war on poverty? Does anyone have an idea? I think to win any war, you have to surround the enemy. You have to gain advantage of the territory, right? So if poverty is the enemy, why not surround poverty with wealth, right? I think that one of the solutions to poverty is diversity. There's two different roads available right now. You have Rochester, which unfortunately people call the ghetto, and I do not like that word. I wish people would stop using that word. We have the ghetto, and we have the suburbs. Growing up, for me, I didn't feel welcome in towns like Brockport or Greece. I really did not feel welcome. I stayed within my city limits. I wasn't judged by people. I wouldn't have any racist situations. For example, I'll go to the elevator inside of the store. People creep into the elevator's corner because they have some bias against me or think that I may attack their child or something. When I go places in public, people snatch up their children as if I'm some evil criminal. So that's why I stay within my city limits. But if we have more diversity like we do in this room today, the issue of poverty will be more relevant to us. If you are away from it, then it's not an issue, right? I'm doing well, my family's doing well. Why do I care about them? They are lazy, they don't have any education, they are poor, they deserve this. We need to stop thinking that way and think as a family and a community. So I believe that we need to think of our family as Monroe County. Not Brockport, not Rochester, not Webster, but Monroe County. What ties do you have to the city? What ties do you have to youth in your own area? I'm sure if you are an adult and have kids, there are minority students at your kids' school. Are you doing anything to help the team's basketball program? Are you doing anything to diversify your child's experience? Because schools are segregated today more than ever. New York State is the most segregated school in the union, right? There are schools throughout the country that are 90% black students and brown students. My high school is like that. I had one white friend from my pre-K years until the end of my high school experiences. His name was Zach. I remember him because we were in first and second grade, and Zach still wore diapers and went to the bathroom by himself. Zach went to high school with me too. He's the only white friend I ever had throughout high school, and he dropped out, unfortunately. He didn't have the resources that I had, and I could see that in him. He eventually became addicted to drugs and made bad choices. But Zach still has a chance. One of us in this room can probably find Zach or a person like Zach and invest in them. The reason why I'm here today is because I have asked support. This morning, I failed to prepare my video in the proper fashion. I had to rush and get it here so we can watch it today. Otherwise, we have to cancel the presentation. Luckily, I was able to call Jenny in panic, as I always do. And she says, get here right now, Arthur, as soon as you can, we'll fix this. And luckily, we were able to fix it. So I realized I made a mistake, but I'm going to try not to ever make this mistake again. That type of support has to be constant. It has to be a lifetime commitment. So the war on drugs is a policy issue that we may not be able to solve easily. All you have to do to solve it is just rally, get up out of your house and do something about it, talk to your local leaders, your political leaders, but it's going to be harder to do. I think this war on poverty is a easier war to win. So you guys can see on my notes on the screen, I think that jobs are another weapon that we can use to end poverty. In the Jefferson Avenue and Bartlett area where I filmed for this film, and basically made my whole documentary for the last film, was poor. And I mean poor. Folks were outside from the morning when I started this film until the evening, in the same spot, drinking the same liquor. There's something wrong with that. We have folks that are coming out of prisons without any help. They are thrown to the wolves. They are X'd out. They can't get jobs. They can't get government funding. They can't get scholarships. Well, they probably can't get scholarships, but that's very unlikely. But they can't get state and federal funding for their education. We are just making a whole group of people disposable. And I don't know if you guys know this, but African Americans and Hispanic people, in 20 years, we will be the majority population in this country. So if you continue to say, he's bad, he's had his pants, throw him in jail, in 20 years, you're going to have millions of people in jail without any education, without any hope. So that's why I say diversity is important. When I grew up, I hope to live in the metro area because it's diverse. New York City is such a live city, right? If I do stay in this local greater Rochester area, I want to stay in the city because I know those folks need help. The reason why I'm doing my non-for-profit is because I know those folks need help. And I've got my education and I'm going to give back. You don't have to dedicate your life to it, but you can dedicate one afternoon in the month to being a volunteer coach for an inner city team, or having a cooking class and teaching folks how to make a dish. You can write a grant and get $500 from your grant, and that can be the money for all your resources available to you. So in conclusion, I just want to say that no one deserves to be poor, and as you can see, making this film has brought me in a new direction. Now I want to focus on poverty more. So if we all investigate our own biases and investigated something that we don't know anything about, we will then be directed to a new avenue. And wisdom begins with wonder. So you guys have to wonder, why are these issues happening today? And mentorship is the main thing. It's so funny how I came from fatherlessness, mass incarceration, to diversity and mentorship. I think those things together intersect, and we have to be compassionate and friendly people.